up, fight fans? We are back for another episode of The Real and the Rare. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. Got a fun one lined up for you today as we are talking to BKFC Straw-weight, the number one ranked strawweight, Dr. Steven Rychel. Appreciate your time this afternoon. It is International Women's Day, so I think it's even more fitting that we have you on here. Obviously, if some people don't know, March 8th is International Women's Day, so it makes all the sense in the world to kind of bring you on, talk about you, talk about your life, and talk about women's sports and everything in between. So appreciate the time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And yeah, on Women's Day, that's awesome. International Women's Day. I love it.
Yeah. I seen that when I got up today. I'm like, well, ain't that fitting?
Meant to be.
Yeah, it definitely was. And speaking of which, obviously we want to get into you. Actually, real quick before I forget, I almost forgot about it. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Fight Wax. Fight Wax is a ultimate skincare products for athletes, pets, and your daily athletic lifestyle. It helps treat cuts, swelling, scrapes, and abrasions, rejuvenates, restores stress skins. Customer have used for soreness, stiffness recovery, designed for athletes of all active lifestyle. The key benefits are provides an ultra silky, non-greasy feel. Deep hydration for skincare, helps fight dry skin. Customers have used for eczema, psoriasis, and other skin disorders. Obviously, the Fight Wax soap is coming out. Again, like I'm letting you guys know, the pet care. And guys, please make sure if you do happen to check it out and place an order, use that code South15FW and show the guys over at Fight Wax some love there. But it is International Women's Day, so let me ask you. We this is a day we always celebrate women in all walks of life, whether it be combat sports and stuff like that. Who are some women that inspired you when you were young? Who made a difference in your life that put you on the path that you are today?
Gosh, you know what? I don't really know. I mean, my grandma and my mom probably. Just I've never really been a celebrity person, so just my friends and my family are the ones who inspire me the most. So yeah, I've always looked up to my mom and my grandma.
And listen, sometimes it is the direct line. Your family, they want to kind of push you in that direction. It's the first time I'm getting to interview a doctor who is a fighter, so I definitely want to get into that. So how did your medical practice come about? What made you go from that being your daily life, and what is your profession? What do you specialize in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started as a fighter, and I was fighting in Canada. I'm born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. And I was fighting really big girls and really big women in Canada. And so I moved to the States because everything's bigger in the States. There's a lot more women that were my weight class that I could fight in the States. So ultimately I fought for a year, and then I decided to make the move to the States. And I joined, my university to get my bachelor's, and I chose the doctorate program because it would afford me the longest time in the States so that I could keep competing. So that's ultimately how it went. I was a fighter before I was a doctor, and it all meshes together really, really well. I've always been a fitness person and a health person. So went to med school. I had 2 babies during med school. Then I opened up a practice right outside of med school, and I'm a primary care physician. So I, manage, treat, diagnose any conditions. I'm the first line provider that you really come to for anything. And if I can't do it, I'll refer you out. But I'm the first line provider. And so, I really love what I do. And I love, being fit, and my patients see me on my fitness journey, and it really inspires them to, come along the ride with me and really, dedicate themselves to their health too.
Listen, being able to balance both lives, I'm sure, is pretty hectic at times. How do you manage it to both be, a doctor and a professional athlete in today's life?
Yeah, you know what? I get asked that a lot, and really, like, fighting is just who I am. It's so ingrained in my life. I mean, I'm going to work out every day anyways. And, when it comes to fight time, my intensity, just increases dramatically. I'm just that crazy lady at the gym. And, everyone wonders, like, what's she training for? But Yeah, it's just come so naturally to me, and yeah, it's really not. I mean, it's hard, but I've just been doing it for so long, so I don't really even think about it anymore. It's just I'm a creature of habit. I do the same thing every day: work, train, kids. I even homeschool my two oldest kids. So I've just recently started that this past year, but that's the new challenge that I added to my plate.
Hey, listen, with the way everything goes in schools these days, I can't blame you. I mean, I felt when I was a kid there wasn't the proper ways to kind of go about things, the proper resources, and at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, your parents know how you learn things better than some stranger that only gets you for a few hours a day, a handful of months out of the year. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. And in school as well too, I don't think I was ever really challenged. I remember my teachers telling me that, I'm never going to amount to anything, because I would fall asleep in math class or something like that. And so becoming a doctor and becoming a fighter was nothing that school ever
yeah.
motivated me to do. I came about it on my own journey. But not to bash on school. I mean, there's certainly good teachers, but I just like to be, directing it for my kids.
Listen, like I said, I don't blame you there. And what anyone who has two eyes and ears can see over the last 10 years, handing your kids off to public school isn't the greatest thing, and not everyone has the resources, finances, or whatever to send your kids to the best schools, because a lot of the times it's all about this, not about where you're at. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I get to see them all the time as well too. So, I mean, I hope it works out. It's hard for me because I work full time. But we're doing it pretty good right now.
But it's also, you got to think, we have things now that our parents didn't have. Like you have things where you could put a camera in the room. You can see if they're doing their work, or if they're just farting about around the house. Like, hey, we have say you set up a structured program. This time you can do this time you can do that, and you see that they're not there. You could just shoot them a message like, hey, I don't see you in front of the computer doing X, Y, and Z. What's going on right now?
Absolutely. And for anyone who is interested in homeschool for their kids, you actually get funding from the government. So instead of giving it to the school where your kid would have gone, they give you funding. So each kid, you actually get a couple thousand, every month, and you could put that towards tutoring. So actually, when I'm at work, I have a tutor that comes in, for 1 to 2 hours every work day that I have, and I get to direct kind of what they're learning. But there is funding available if you do homeschool.
One of the few good things that is coming out of our government at this point in time. And you did make a post, and again, I don't like to go super political, but I seen another thing was basically like release all the files and lock up all the pedophiles. I've seen comments being made that if we arrest everybody, that the system would fail. I'm like, well, then the system needs to fail, at least initially.
Yeah, and I've never really been a political person, but with everything going on in the world, there's just now's the time to talk, especially if you have kids. So it's not really to get political. It's just supporting kids and making sure there's no pedophiles out there.
It's not even just political. The kids, the women in particular, just because the way the world is. If you're an evil person, you shouldn't be in any form of position to be able to have a say in how things go.
Absolutely. And that's why I think more people need to be a fighter. More people need to get into martial arts, because when you have a spine and you bring that into your profession in life, I think that's how we make the world a better place. Just people gotta train. And when you fight, then you don't, you just gotta have a spine in whatever job that you do.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things, like when, as I was telling you beforehand, my kids were in gyms when they were young. So it's like, I think only one of them has ever been in a situation where they've actually had to, be in a fist fight or anything like that. But it's also in the situations where they don't get to get bullied. And even my daughter, she got into some situations, but there was a thing where they had to bring multiple girls there because they knew that she knew how to take care of herself. Okay. So it's like one of those things where it's like you prepare your kids for the worst type of scenarios ever, and just pray that they never have to be involved in them.
Absolutely. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. And that goes for anything in life, not just defending yourself, but, at work and your job and life, just always be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yeah. And obviously we were talking about today's being International Women's Day, but March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. Now, obviously we're talking about combat sports, and there's all kinds of different ways that people think about combat sports. Obviously there's a stigma that surrounds bare knuckle just because of the fact that, you're probably more likely to get cut. But I think that people who do the research and know that boxing is way more dangerous because of the padding in the gloves. You being a doctor, you being somebody who is educated on how the body works. What do you feel like? Do you think that you're in a less dangerous environment being a bare knuckle fighter over boxing?
Yeah, I mean, both of them have their ups and downs. The way that I look at it, though, is I really focus my training on preserving my brain and healing my brain. I do a lot of different therapies that heal my brain. And when I spar, I don't get hit to the head. So I only get hit to the head during the fight. Because I've been fighting for like 16, 17 years now. So I've done my hard sparring. I back in the day, like I used to just hard spar all the time. So now I'm just focused on, preserving my brain, coming into a fight with a strong chin. I know I can take punches, so I don't practice taking punches to the face in training.
I mean, I would hope, being in combat sports as long as you have at this point in time, that those are things you do. Like, obviously, when you're younger, they want to, your coaches, your training partners, they want to know that you're able to handle the fire. At some point in time, you have to use your fight IQ, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I think we're learning more about that with just fighters being in it for so long. We got to preserve our longevity in it. And, once your chin goes, it's hard to continue your career. So I got a good chin and I don't want to test it until it's fight day.
That's the best. I mean, listen, I think it's the best way to go about it. Obviously, I'm not the expert here. I've been in enough gyms. I've been around enough fighters. I don't think hard sparring going into camps is always the best thing. And a lot of times, over the years, we've seen where guys that, they've been tougher over the years, and all of a sudden, they barely get clipped and they're going. That's because they overtrained in their training camp. And a lot of times some of these guys, they've been knocked out multiple times in that training camp. And that's why that you see them not being able to take those shots, because they've been, they've accumulated multiple of them over, the last 2 to 3 months during their training camp. So
yep, absolutely. I think about that all the time. My husband loves to do hard sparring. And every time I watch him, I'm just like, oh, like, I'm so glad I'm not getting hit to the face. It's just, but some people like it. For me, it's something that I find it fun, but just it's not necessary anymore. I've done my hard sparring. I know that I can take punches, and I don't need to do it in practice.
Yeah. Now, obviously, some of the bigger news that's come out in the combat sports world over the last few weeks, I want to get your thought on it. I mean, I think arguably this is going to probably be the biggest fight of the year. Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey coming out of retirement. This is anyone who's been a fan of female combat sports for 10 years or more. This is I guess the ultimate dream fight. This fight. I know some people would say you could kind of fill in some other fighters. I have this saying, I say it a lot of times. There's that Gina Carano crawled so Ronda Rousey could run. And no one would have paid attention to the sport if Gina didn't lay down the groundwork in her earlier career. Then when Cyborg dispatched of Gina and she decided to go to acting, everyone kind of gravitated toward what Ronda was doing and how the bravado that she brought, her superior submission skills and how she was going about that led to the women being in the UFC.
Yep, absolutely. They definitely paved the way. I was always a huge fan of Gina Carano from the start because she was a stand-up fighter. She was, Muay Thai, and I got into stand up from the start. I did a lot of MMA fights without even training, any groundwork. I was just a stand up fighter, and I would always try to keep it standing.
Now, I mean, I got to ask you, right? Obviously, we're a few months away from it. When they made the announcement, if I'm painting you in a corner here, you have to pick one. I know Gina's your girl, but Ronda's the more active athlete in combativeness over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I
are
think
you going Gina Carano that night, or you think Ronda's going to be able to?
The thing is, if Ronda is smart and just sticks to her guns, sticks to what she's good at, which is take them down and submit them, then yeah, I think Ronda has all the chance in the world if she puts her ego aside and sticks to what she's good at. She shouldn't try to stand with Gina.
I wouldn't. Listen. I totally agree with you there. I think if she does what made her the name that she was over the years, if she just closes distance, avoids the big punch or kick and gets a hold of Gina Carano, if she gets a hold of Gina, I think the fight's over. I think it's Ronda will have her way with it. But I think if Gina adapts to what Holly Holm did in her fight against Ronda, that it could be a long night for Ronda Rousey.
Yep, absolutely. It really could go either way, but yeah, if I had to put money on it, I would put it on Ronda. But I love them both. They're both amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's they are for lack of a better term, the queens of the popular side of women's MMA. They may not been the best ones over the years. I think there's obviously other names you can mention. We just talked about Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes had her space. I think even some of the lighter girls have made a name for themselves over the years. Valentina Shevchenko is an absolute terror. I don't think anybody at 125 pounds in the UFC wants to actually go in there and see if you're the better woman there.
Absolutely, she's tough, and you know what? One of the pioneers for females is Zoila Frosto. When I first started fighting, like she was the one that I watched. And funny enough, like I was new to fighting, but I was like, I think I could fight her, and like obviously, like now that I know about fighting, like she would have kicked my ass back then. But she's so amazing and she's still training. So I love Zoila Frosto. I was always a huge fan of hers.
Yeah, even she got bigger after she got married to George, right?
Yep. I don't think they're together anymore, but she's consistently training and yeah, she's always been very motivational. She's a beast too.
I think one of the ones I'm favorite that doesn't quite get the respect they deserve is Rose Namajunas.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah,
I think she has two of the biggest upsets in women's MMA history in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So I always got mad love and respect from her. And speaking of the UFC, obviously big event last night. They made their the White House card got announced last night, and
I didn't see. Okay,
I am not a fan. One, there's no women's fight. Obviously, we know that Kayla Harrison is still recovering from her surgery, and that Amanda Nunes is going to be they're going to fight at some point in time. I get that that's the fight that you're probably going to put on that one, but you have to come up with something. You have to put some females on that fight card, and no John Jones. Yeah, there was some comments made last night about what happened with that. Conor McGregor has also made a comment that that's what he was told that they were pushing for, and that it didn't. That he's probably going to be International Fight Week, but he was told this whole time that it was going to be Mike Chandler. Mike Chandler's fighting on the card, but no Conor McGregor. For someone,
that's how the fight game goes, though. But
we all know that. But it's one of those things. Like if you can't make it happen, right, then you need to move things around to make it what you say it was. We were told the biggest fight card that we've ever seen. Well, no disrespect to those guys, and there's some Philly guys or PA guys on that card that I'm going to be looking forward to. But other than that, like I felt it to be a little bit underwhelming. I don't know if, like you said, like sometimes the fight game just doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
you don't always get what you want, but I kind of felt that it left a little bit to be desired. Obviously, it was your first time seeing it when I just pulled it up, but
yeah.
what
But yeah, no,
you feel like that way too? Like it's missing.
I never say anything's going on until the contract gets signed, because matchmakers they tell you dates and you'll start training for it, but I never get stuck on it until that contract is signed, because things get opponents get told different things. This is why Britt and I were beefing a little bit, because we were both been told different things, but it's just part of the fight game. It's part of the fight game.
It is. I mean, and listen, nobody's perfect. No promotion has the exact science to how to make things work for everybody. What makes sense for the promotion, what makes sense for the fighters. And like you said, sometimes you'll get told one thing and matchmaker will wind up doing X, Y, and Z. The other opponent gets told something else. And next thing you know, you guys are sitting there trading words. Well, I was told this and I was promised that. And
you're scared. You're not coming out. Sometimes I feel like the matchmaker just tells us different things to get us angry at each other and start things. So that's why I don't take anything to heart until the contract is in my face.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fight game. Like we were talking about, you're not going to be everyone's fan favorite. You're not going to be the most loved person in the quote unquote locker room, and you don't have to be at the end of the day. As long as you respect the person across from you, you don't get too personal when the words start flying and everything's all good.
Absolutely, sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Listen, words are words, and it's fun for the fans, but I don't think that some of these fans realize that 9 times out of 10, like y'all may say the most terrible things to each other when it comes to what your guys going to do in there and this, that, and the third. But when it all breaks down, it eventually you guys become cordial at some point in time after the fight.
Absolutely. I'm in love with the journey. So I love the journey. I am unattached to the result, but we're not playing badminton with each other. We're fighting each other. So, it makes sense that, we're going to say, I'm going to whoop you or this, that, and the other thing. And we should be talking with confidence. And sometimes I think as a female, when you talk like that, it can come across as, arrogance, but it's just confidence and a love for the sport.
What everyone used to say Ronda was. I'm like, but that's what you want. You want that that fire in your belly when you go in there and have that supreme confidence, whether you feel like someone's strutting around like a peacock or not. That's not. It's you want to have that because, I mean, as much as we don't want to admit it, like when you look at it, at least in the fight world, you have to have your quote unquote baby face and on your heel. You have to have the yin and the yang.
Absolutely. You got to be ready for war, and you should always believe in yourself. A fight can go either way. And just like I said at the beginning, in my first couple amateur fights that I did, I was watching Zoila Frosto, fight for the Bellator title. And in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, I could probably fight her, and it wasn't until, many fights later that I was like, okay, I'm nowhere near, Bellator title fight yet. But that's just the confidence that I had, even at a young baby fighter getting into it.
Yeah.
I'm competitive, but it's certainly not arrogant. I'm very humble. I always feel like I'm a student, and I appreciate and respect all of my opponents, no matter what we say to each other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's all words, it's all hot air, and to the contract to sign, the weight is made, and you guys are standing across from each other in front of tens of thousands of people. So,
absolutely, we're some of the most badass women, and we're influencing a lot of people and impacting a lot of people. So, it's a much greater picture that I look at it as.
Now, we've been talking about a little mix of everything. So I'm going to get your thoughts on this one, right? So I've been sitting there saying for the last few years, I have felt that the UFC has been missing the boat on a lot of things. Obviously, I just brought up the White House card. It's a little underwhelming. I kind of believe that what Dave Feldman, BKFC, Conor McGregor, and everyone that's involved with it has been, for lack of a better term, kicking the UFC in the teeth as far as popularity, growth. I think a lot of the better fighters in the world are in bare knuckle at this point in time. That's why we don't see a lot of these big UFC fights or big MMA fights, because for the most part, most of those fighters are now in bare knuckle in one way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Do you feel that that's kind of also the case over the last 5 years, that not just the popularity, but the bulk of the good athletes and the fans themselves has been kind of, migrating to what bare knuckle is today?
Yeah, I absolutely see that. There's a lot of MMA veterans. A lot of us that are in BKFC have some sort of mixed martial arts background. And we're just the toughest of the toughest kind of have been collecting at BKFC. It takes a certain person to want to do BKFC. So there's just lots of tough and veterans of martial arts. So yeah, and it's exciting. All of us, have a different personality. It seems like a little bit more rigid in UFC. Of course, there's some people who have really good personalities, but BKFC, everyone's exciting in their own way.
I agree with that. And, we've seen the growth. We've seen everything that Dave Bare Knuckle's been doing. BKFC Ice. We're about to see the Fight Club thing be announced. I literally think the only thing you guys are missing at this point in time is the reality show, is to have some type of thing to get more of you guys out there. And, I've been hearing rumors that, we might see bare knuckle on a major network platform at some point in time over the next few years, potentially something like Fox or something like that. Would that be something that you would like to be involved with if that does happen, if they do happen to put some type of reality show together, do a similar style to what the Ultimate Fighter was?
Absolutely. I would do a reality show with an Ultimate Fighter type kind of setting, or just reality show to show my life and training. I am available for anything that I can have an impact in the world. I just want to be a good influence in the world. And I love trying new things and new challenges. So yes, I would be open to helping BKFC in any way possible. And
then the other one, what was the bare knuckle cruise you guys got going on?
I saw that. Yeah, that'd be so fun. I've never been on a cruise, so I was trying to think like if I would get seasick or not. I don't know if I don't think I would, but I've never been on a cruise before, so maybe that'll be my first cruise. I'll make sure that not working or anything, I'll make sure I can come on it, because I
mean, obviously it's not until the
January next year.
Yeah, next year. That's right. But it all ends in a fight card in the Bahamas, so we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I think it's 3 nights. Cruising and fights. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I can make that.
I hope you're a part of it in some way, shape, or form, even if you're not fighting on the card, just to be there, to be around that environment should be.
Otherwise, I'll just be partying. I'd probably rather just party, but if they need me to fight, obviously I love to fight too.
Yeah. Now you're talking about role model and positive influence. In the day of the influence, and I had I came across this. I seen one of your posts, and I thought it was kind of relevant, right? So obviously, former bare knuckle fighter, former UFC fighter, Paige Van Zandt has made. This was a thing I came up that she made more than 24 hours on her Blue page than she did 10 years of fighting. Now you're talking about making a positive influence. Now a lot of the fighters of Paige's nature have OF pages. Yep. Some of them use it for certain things. Some of them use it for what a lot of people use it for. I mean, hell, Chris Cyborg has an OnlyFans page, and she does put nothing but training stuff on it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on girls taking advantage, I guess, of guys that crave that type of content, while still being a quote unquote, somebody that young girls look up to? What are your overall feelings on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can only talk, really for myself, and I want to be the example. And from the way I see it is, I very much value my character. And I understand that you can make a lot of money. I bet I would make tons of money if I told everyone I'm going to be the OnlyFans doctor. But it's something that I understand that it's normalized in society right now. But I think women have been fighting for a long time to be respected in fighting. And And so I just can't get behind it. I want women to be confident. I want them to love themselves, and I want them to feel pressured to have to sell their body. I mean, do what you want to do on your own time. But I think just like pasting it all over our Instagram pages and, showing up to fights in our thongs and, things like that. I just don't know. I think we have to, as fighters and with our platform, I think we just have to understand that it's not just about us, and we do have a rippling effect to everyone that's watching us. So no matter how much you want to say that you're just making a living, you have to be an adult and understand the responsibility that we have. So that's just how I feel. I just feel like we're all so strong, and it's so easy to give into that kind of stuff. And if you just love the journey, you're not going to take shortcuts like that. So I hope Paige one day, turns around and tries to support women that might feel pressured into doing that. That's the thing. All of them can turn around. Can't delete all those pictures off the internet.
No. And to your point, because you even see sometimes where, women that are in the film business who have done, all these shoots over the years and stuff like that, and then they become mothers. What is the first thing they say that they're worried about? Their kids coming across their content that they want to scrub from this and do. Every one of these girls at one point in time, girls, women, whatever, are going to have some type of regret when it comes to it. I mean, obviously, you're going to have your few people that they're in the mindset that, that's who they were at that time and they're proud of that. And you're going to have those ones, but also you're going to have the ones that also put themselves in a deep depression because, their son or their daughter came across something that some photo they took, some video they shot when they were in their 20s, when they were in their 30s, before they became a thought into their lives. So
absolutely. And as a mom of 3, I consistently think about that. I understand that all of my actions are things that that they're going to see one day or feel, and integrity is when nobody's watching as well too. And so I try to live in integrity in everything I do, even when nobody's watching, in my thoughts and my actions. And there's nothing more that I want to do than just be a positive influence. Absolutely, I think about everything that I do. If my kids were watching or understood or saw that, then I want to make them proud.
And listen, and we know what it all really boils down to at the end of the day is because when we talk about the combat sports athlete, none, and I repeat, none of you are paid what you should be. And we've seen it even in the UFC. We just watched I'm going to pull this one up here. We just watched Conor Benn get paid $15 million, right? No one in the UFC is even sniffing around that amount of money. They just refused to bring John Jones back because he asked for that same exact amount of money. He asked for $15 million because that's what they just gave to Conor Benn. They wouldn't do it. That's why he's not on that card. Conor McGregor isn't fighting because he's probably worth more than either one of those guys, if you ask me, as far as bringing in the crowd, bringing in the popularity, bringing in the people from overseas. I agree that Conor's worth more than each one of the two aforementioned fighters. He didn't get his purse either. I think he will at some point in time, but we know when we take out that 5%, those world champion stuff fighters, you guys are still not paid. A lot of the fighters, they're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and when they get done with their fights, you guys barely have a couple $1,000s to scrape together to try to make it the next 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even a year between some of the times these fighters get the fight in. I think the sport continues to grow, not just not just bare knuckle, not just MMA, just combat sports in general, that this is something that has to change, that these bottom fighters, the debuters to, your first 10, you guys need to, even the fighters that are fighting on the undercard, maybe not the main event, they need to be taken care of more in that way, not just having to rely on discretionary bonuses from the boss, from having an amazing performance. That there has to be a better, I get it, you get a show money and a win money. I think regardless that a lot of times, I think the athletes themselves should just basically get one thing. You make weight, you get paid. There shouldn't be an ancillary thing attached to it that you guys are taken care of in a way, whether it be 15,000 a fight, 10, 20,000, something that's more than that. When you pay your medicals, you pay your manager, you pay your gym, etc., that you have more than a couple $1,000s to make you to the next fight, that you're not having to be put yourself in these positions, begging sponsors for this, having some of the female athletes have OnlyFans accounts, stuff like that. I think some of them would be less likely to run those type of accounts if they were taken care of monetarily wise from the promoter. Obviously, we're still in a port of growing the combat side of sports, whether we're talking about MMA or bare knuckle. But I think it's one of the things that if that does change, I think we would see a lot less of these women push towards that type of way of accruing money.
Absolutely. And I think, really when you get into fighting, it shouldn't be for the money. I don't think many people get in it for the money because, I mean, I've been fighting for 16 years and I have yet to make a profit. I lose money when I fight, because I got to close my clinic now. And, I took the school route. I could have done OnlyFans, 16, 17 years ago, but I chose school instead. So now I've got over 250,000 in student loans. So I guarantee I'm the poorest on the roster, but the journey is the fight as well too. It's not just the fight that night. The whole journey is there's challenges. There's challenges financially, physically, with family, socially. There's challenges, but that's life. And I fought for free so many times. I've done so many amateur fights, so like I don't even think about money. I just make sure that my minimum bills are paid.
That's all you can really do. And you're right. There's a lot of times, the combat sports athletes losing money coming home from a fight, regardless if it's amateur, professional, whether it's big time fights. How we just sat there and seen that Floyd Mayweather's, filing for bankruptcy, suing, HBO, Showtime, and all this other stuff. So it doesn't matter how big of a name you are, your lifestyle, how you choose to go about things, the bill comes due, and it comes after everyone. So
absolutely, and there's always other options than OnlyFans. Like OnlyFans, like I get, like it's guaranteed money for most women, but we can't just say that you had to do it. There's options. There's reasons why men aren't doing the OnlyFans. Like there's ways. There's ways that we can find, and it's not easy doing the hard road. But it's doable. It's doable. Sometimes you have to work a bit more.
Yeah, but you also it's more networking and having those possibilities put in front of you that you can take advantage of. A lot of the fighters, they go around and do seminars. That's one way to do things. I also think, like, I don't know if speaking engagements are also important. Like I say it all the time, like every single one of you, it doesn't matter if I'm talking to you, Sarah, or talking to anyone else on that is a bare knuckle. You guys all have a story to tell, and it's going to mean something to somebody somewhere.
Absolutely. If you find your passion, there's always something that you can find money in without selling your body. That's all. And you
guys already sacrifice your body. May not sacrifice all of it, but you guys sacrifice a lot of it.
Exactly.
To go be in there. Yeah,
exactly. And I like to poke at some of the OnlyFans girls, but I respect them. Like we all have our past that we take in life. But I like giving tough love and poking at those women because I want to see them one day turn it around and help women who have depression and anxiety and are feeling pressured and let down by society. Eventually we got to help the next generation get strong and make better decisions than we do.
And then the other side of the money thing in it is we also have seen a lot of stuff with betting in some of these fighters that particularly in the UFC over the last few years, we've seen the case where the coach was basically running his own like betting ring and letting people know when his guys were hurt and they were taking fight stuff and then he was making money.
Yeah, that's one way to make money. Fraud.
I mean, that's basically what it is at the end of the day. But not just that, I don't think some of these people, when they get in those situations, will realize you're also harming not just the promoter and your athlete, but you're hurting the sport overall as it is. I mean,
yeah, I
the
mean,
sacrifices that some of the people made to get, this side of combat sports outside of boxing to be respected to the where it is today. A lot of people sacrificed a lot just to get it here. So it's one of those things where I don't think you realize how much you damage the integrity of the sport it is, because now it's just going to be like every time there's an upset, we're like, oh, how much did the champ take a dive tonight?
Yeah. And I mean, fighters, sometimes that's all they know, like fighting is their world. But, outside of the fight world and in just life in general, you're always going to get opportunities to lie, cheat, and steal. That's just life. And, when fighters feel pressured, we do OnlyFans, but, out in the real world here, people rip people off and lie and cheat and steal. So it's just, you gotta try your best to save your integrity and your character. There's no way around it. And you can't let society fool you. You got to stick to your guns and stick to, that little kid inside. Did that little kid, want to strip and sell their body? Like, I always think about the little kid in me, and I don't let society kind of change that. I try to stay grounded with who I was when I was a little kid.
I mean, that's who you try to be is like, I want to make the little kid who was inside of me, proud to look at the person, be that person that they look up to. So it's, I mean, everyone has weaknesses in life, and and like we talk about, like having that same integrity behind closed doors when no one's looking is kind of the way you think about that. So I mean, listen, man, we can go over this from 10 different ways for the next 2 hours, and there's always going to be something there. But I'm going to kind of get talking to some of we get these celebrities in our sports, and I don't know if you've seen over the past few days, Logan Paul's been sitting there saying he can whip on this professional football player and that professional football player. Look, we were just talking about, having that confidence and stuff like that. And I think 9 times out of 10, some of the stuff that Logan was saying is right. Like, I think for the most part, some of your untrained guys, regardless of how great of an athlete they are, whether we're talking about an NFL player, a basketball player, a football player, 9 times out of 10, he's probably right, because he's been trained in that. They've been, him and his brother have been doing wrestling and combat sports since before they were the YouTube kids, way before that. And I think people forget about that sometimes. Yep. But there are, I think, the 5%ers that are in that sport that I don't think that you really want to have across from you in a ring, in a cage, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. And really, it all comes down to discipline. So, when you're an athlete and you stay consistent with it, and those guys are what, millionaires, maybe billionaires, I don't know. So, they got all the resources in the world. But even with all that, sometimes you just don't have it in your mind as well too. Fighting is very mental. Yeah. And mental for me, I mean, I have natural talents and good discipline, but my mental game, I always find is an advantage. I'm very, very, very strong inside, and I'm very in tune to the internal dialogue that's going on. And like I said, I love the journey. So I'm always working myself through the journey. I just want to be the best person that I can be, and fighting helps me to get there.
Now, the reason why I asked that, I mean, obviously we know what your goal is right now. It's the strawweight title. It's Britain Hart, but in a crazy alternate reality, you can make any fight with any female athlete, currently fighting from before, that you would want to test yourself. Obviously, you were talking about you were talking about Zoila Frosto when we were earlier in this interview. Who's a fighter that it would be a dream fight for you? You had, you're a world champion. You cleaned out your division. You get a challenge from this person. Who would you like that ultimate challenge to be?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really think that way, because then I feel like I'm wanting to fight them. But if it's for the challenge, I'd probably say Zoila, if she could make 115 again. I don't want to move up in weight. I fight my weight class. I've had some bigger girls challenge me, but out of anger. But see, I don't get angry. I don't have the capacity to hate anyone. I understand why people are the way that they are, and yeah, I really just think about whoever BKFC puts in front of me. That's what I want to do, and that's the test that I train for. So it's hard to out of the blue select anyone.
It's fair enough. Fair enough. Now I got another hard one for you before we get ready to start wrapping this one up. One I ask a lot of the combat sports athletes because I think it's the hardest thing. Like when we talk about this day and age, everyone wants to say, "Oh, this person's the GOAT and that person's the GOAT." Mm-hmm. You know, when we're talking about basketball or football or whatever, I think when we look at combat sports as a whole, I think it's the hardest one to do something like that. And I always say I think the fairest way to look at it is who would be your Mount Rushmore. So when we're looking at the combat sports world, whether it be boxing, whether it be MMA, whether it be bare knuckle, however you would want to break it down. And I just think it's so hard because you have different eras, you have different weight classes, you got men, you got women. It's so hard to break this down. But if you were one to erect a Mount Rushmore of combat sports athletes, who would be the 4 people you put up there?
I'm going to put the Juggernaut, and I'm going to put Christine Faria. Those are my BKFC people. Mm-hmm. Who would my UFC people be? Probably George St. Pierre. And
last one. See, this is when it gets hard because I think 4 is also hard too.
I mean, I got to pick another female. It's got to be 2 and 2. So I'd probably say Rhonda. It's hard. There's so many good names. So.
Yeah, there is. And that's why I said it's the hardest in combat sports because there's different ways you can go about it. Eras, weight classes, men, women. Yeah. And, you know, I think a lot of times the OGs kind of get lost in it because anything that was before Ronda Rousey, unless you were a real diehard fan, you don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no one talks about Tara LaRosa. She was an early trailblazer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, Julie Kedzie. I don't think anyone, who's, got into combat sports over the last 10 years ever actually seen her inside of a cage.
Yeah.
You know, we all know her like she's the color commentator for Invicta at this point in time. So I mean, there's so many people you could put in there, you know, even the boxing side of things. There's people you can name. That's not Layla Ali. You know, that's not Clarissa Shields. That's not Amanda Serrano. So it's literally, it's so tough because there's so many ways you can go about it.
Yep. So many good fighters out there nowadays.
Yeah, but I had no problem with that. I think Lorenzo Hunt doesn't get the respect he deserves at this point in time, regardless of what happened 2 years ago with his failed test or not. You know,
that's right. I forgot about that. That might get him.
I did it because I just thought it was really weird. Like after a loss, he tested positive for something. A lot of times, like I think some of the athletes, they don't pay attention to what they're putting in their bodies when it comes to recovering and stuff like that. I don't know the exact what would happen on it, but I think a lot of times you guys do whatever you can to recover the best way you can because it's the hardest thing to do, especially when you start getting up there, right?
Yeah, but yeah, as a professional athlete, though, it's your job to understand what's going on in your body.
If you get a tainted supplement, you get a tainted supplement. There's nothing you can do about that.
I guess, yeah. How often do we get tainted supplements, though?
I think it's very few and far between. And you know, I don't think I've ever seen Lorenzo make an excuse for it, so I won't hold it against him. A lot of times when you see these fighters and they cut the corners and stuff like that, they want to point to everyone but themselves.
Yeah, that's
he took it on the chin. You know, he did what he had to do. He's come back and he's been just as of a menace since before he was. And I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. Everyone's talking about Mike Perry's the most popular male BKFC fighter. It's the joke. It's a joke to me. Nothing against Mike because he's earned where he has, but Lorenzo put it all out for everyone to see the pre-weigh-in press conference that they did.
Yeah, I like Lorenzo. He's entertaining, good fighter, he's knocking people down.
He takes on all challengers. He takes on all challengers. It doesn't matter what weight class they're at. Whoever's the best of the best wherever he's fighting at, he takes them on.
Yep.
His only loss was to a former heavyweight champion. I don't think there's there's nothing to hang your head about that. Other than that, he's been a multiple division champion in BKFC, and as he says, like, he was a tow truck driver. He wasn't a professional athlete when BKFC came a knocking. So it's a guy that if this sport never came up, he'd probably still be doing be a tow truck driver somewhere. But as of right now, I don't argue with that one. Christina Fieri, has dispatched everyone she's been put in front of her. I think her problem right now is she needs somebody with a big name to fight, and
I agree.
I don't see anyone there. Like, I mean,
yeah, we got to wait for someone else to pop up. She's taking everyone out.
I mean, if I'm her, I pray that the next time Jessica I goes out there, she absolutely obliterates somebody. There's a name with someone that has a popular name that people would know for her to fight. Because other than that, like, I mean, and it's not to be disrespecting anyone in that weight class, but there's nobody there.
Yeah,
nobody there for a fight, and everyone that was, she's already fought, and so
she's taking everyone out.
And then her last fight, I mean, now it was a catch weight. She went up to fought Jessica Borga, who's the only woman in BKFC to have a registered knockout. So
yeah, that's true.
And then that was an amazing fight, and she fractured Jessica's orbital. So. Yeah. I mean, she's an absolute menace, and she deserves every bit of the credit, respect that she does. But she needs challengers right now, because if not, we're going to watch the twilight of her career disappear without a big fight, and that I think is a sadder thing than staying in the fight longer.
I'm sure they'll find someone. Maybe they'll pull someone over from BYB or somewhere. There's someone out there that wants to fight for Rhea.
If we're talking about someone from BYB, the only one I can think of at this point in time would be Jamie Driver, maybe.
I think she's a little bit bigger. What's that?
She definitely is a little bit bigger, but hey, I mean,
that blonde girl, can't remember her name. She's got like tats on her face.
Yeah.
I'm bad with names.
Yeah, so am I sometimes. It's like, once I watch, we'll get off of here, we'll look at it, but that's what the name was. But yeah, I mean, then your other one, George St. Pierre. Listen,
I'm from Canada, so he comes to mind.
Otherwise, there ain't no shame in that.
Otherwise, it'd be Conor McGregor, right? So between Conor McGregor, George St. Pierre, but I like both of them. I just chose George St. Pierre because I needed a Canadian on there.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. And George is the consummate professional. I mean, showing you that, like, once you get knocked down, you can build yourself up and be a bigger, better fighter. I mean, he got the thrown around the ring, and he gets his first fight with Matt Hughes, goes back to the drawing board, gets back in there almost 2 years later, and is a completely different fighter, and took that mindset he used to beat Matt, and just every time he got back in there after that, he was a different fighter. He had another tool in his tool belt. And I still feel to this day that Michael Bisping did not beat George St. Pierre, in my opinion. I don't care what anyone wants to tell me. Michael got a gift of a judge's decision that night. And it's not nothing against Michael either, just kind of how I feel about it. And then obviously Ronda, we've already talked about Ronda. I think that those were 4 excellent picks. Again, like I said, we could probably debate it to the cows come home.
Yeah,
but
lots of good choices.
As for you, now obviously we've already kind of loosely discussed it. The only name you want to see on the contract gets slided over to you next is a title fight against Britain Hart, right or wrong?
Absolutely. I only want Britain right now. At one point, I was calling out Taylor because I thought Britain had a different fight in another organization. I didn't want to wait for it, but Britain's the one above me, and Taylor's the one below me. So I want Britain first, and then I'm going to call out Taylor.
No one wants to hear my thoughts on Taylor Starling. I love her personality, everything like that. I just think she's been given the most opportunities I've ever seen of a bare knuckle athlete ever.
And
and
she's not capitalizing on them.
She's not, and whether it be luck, the skill of the person going against her, whatever. I just feel like she's been given so many opportunities that probably could have gone to other fighters, and I don't think a whole lot of people would have argued it. But again, nothing against her. She at the end of the day, she's a Philly fan. I should be rooting for her, but I just look at the athlete and their skill set, and I just kind of go from there. So
yeah. She's a good brawler. She's tough. She's
is, man. She is, and
entertainer. So yeah, no, I have nothing against Taylor, nothing personally, because nothing ever is personal.
Yeah.
But it's just I have an opinion on certain things, and I think it's okay to express your opinion in life, and we don't have to fight about it. But yeah, I'd love to fight Taylor.
All information should always be put out there, regardless if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings or not.
I know it's hard, and we live in the spotlight, so like our platforms have influence, and so yeah, some of these things are sensitive, right? Like we want to be able to sell access to our body and not have anyone bother us about it. But then I come along and I'm telling everyone that we should be normalizing this. It's just it's not how we should be.
So name, who, for the belt, all that's already put in front of you. If you get to pick where this fight takes place, where would you like to fight? Like everyone always wants to fight in their hometown. If you could pick anywhere outside of Arizona, right? Anywhere outside internationally, maybe somewhere bare knuckle hasn't gone to, where would you like your ideal fight to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to travel anywhere. I will go into anyone's backyard. So gosh, I'm not picky. I'll travel anywhere over the world, anywhere around the States. I love to travel. I just love to fight. I'm down to fight all the time. Like I said, like this is just in my blood. This is just what I do. I've done fighting my whole adult life. So it's just I love it. I love the challenge. I love the training and the fight. I live for this life. So I'll travel anywhere.
So all right, we're gonna send you to Australia then.
Yeah. Just got to get my passport.
There you go. But what I do at the end here, Sarah, when I typically end these things, is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anyone you would like to thank, trainer partners, teammates, shoot out your social media sites, these sponsors you have, you want to show some love to. Parting words. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. Let's see. Who I have to thank is my coach, Santiago from Pro Edge Boxing in Phoenix. Always got to thank my family, which is my husband, and then my kids. Got to thank my kids too. But that's really my support system. I have a small circle, and that's all that I have to thank. I guess my patients, and my few friends are always a good support system for me. But I have lots of good positive energy. In my life, just from my patients as well too. All my patients are so supportive and positive. And you know what, one thing that I would say as advice is just to believe in yourself. That's always my advice, is just to believe in yourself, and just block out the noise, believe in yourself, because that's what makes life fun.
Absolutely. Sarah, it was a pleasure. Hopefully all the back and forth between you and Britton comes to an end, and both of you guys get a contract with a date and location on it, so we can finally get to see both of you guys go in there and settle all the disagreements for once and for all.
Thank you. Yes, we're ready. I'm ready. I love Britton. She's amazing, but I'm ready to take that belt.
We'll see who the better woman's going to be that night when you guys step in there. As I say to all of you fighters, I don't say best of luck, because there's no such thing as luck. Best of the skill to whoever the best woman's going to be that night. Looking forward to seeing when the announcement comes through, where it's going to be, etc. But other than that, Sarah, absolutely pleasure talking to you this afternoon. Appreciate your time. We definitely got to do it again sometime in the future after the next fight. And other than that, you enjoy your afternoon down there in Arizona, and we'll catch up with you again soon, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
Not a problem. You have a good one, Sarah.
Thank you. You too.
All right, everyone. That was Dr. Sarah Rychel. Another great interview here on The Real and the Rare. I was your host today, Mr. Steven Rychel. We're going to have a few more combat sports interviews over the next few weeks. We're going to be joined by Sam Alvey on the 10th. We're supposed to be being joined by the featherweight champion, Kai Stewart, come the 15th. So, guys, make sure you're locked in. You subscribe the QR code is right above here. If not, just type in the South Florida Tribune. Give us a subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Do not miss anything that is going on here on the channel. Other than that, another great episode. And we will see you guys next week, my friends. Peace on out.